me not hear me Robert. Stop boy want see we gone in a dirt. Remember that strand of me here no boy you fi drive in a hearse. So bad.
This is Seeing Red presents Yard Reviews. Now I'm Rashid Guna here with Simon the writer. Now this is all about everything happening in local football, whether it's the Reggae Boys or the RSPL. We get right into it for a few minutes.
And we're going to burn fire upon JFF. Well, kind of.
Depends when it calls for it.
When it calls for.
No,
But we're not holding back.
not at all. Now the RSPL is into its 15th round. We had some big games yesterday, some big results, some shock results, and we get right into it. Now the first one, Humble Lion 2, Mobile United 1, that was played at the Effortville Community Center. This is a game that is a precursor to what I predicted at the start of the season as the final of the RSPL. Humble Lion and Mobile United. Now, Mobile United have reached the final for 3 straight years, and I think they're making a fourth. But Humble Lion now, they've barely missed out on last season's final, crashing out to Portmore United in the semi-final. This season, however, they look good, even though they've slipped to about 4th in the table.
Right.
Their form coming into the season was very good because, unlike other teams who started very late, they spent a lot of money on the team this year. They brought in some experience with Ewan Gray. They have Wilbur Wolf in midfield. He's been doing well for them. But they had their pre-seasons very early. So what set them apart from other teams is how well they started. They were rolling, they were in first place, but if their results kind of slipped off. But I guess that has to do with them playing at such a high energy at the start of the season. It kind of waned a bit. But it was a good match. Simon, you saw it, your thoughts?
Well, this was a feature match of the weekend. And I think they're doing a good thing having at least one game showed live on TV during the week. So props to Red Stripe Premier League for doing that. Now, while watching the game, one of the things that I thought was very important that we can start analyzing for the rest of the season is the impact of the coaches in RSPN. Donovan Duke making 2 substitutions, both substitutes scoring, having an impact. And what we find is that, fine, RSPL is not known as the English Premier League or as flashy, but guess what? The coaches have been around for a while.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, you can see their impact on teams. And I think even in local football, this is something that we notice in Manning Cup. We notice coaches are more superstars than players. And I feel like this is one of the things that is going to impact the Red Stripe Premier League. Now, as you said, Humble Lion missing out last season. Now, Humble Lion, one of the things that sets them apart from some of these teams is that they look hungry. They look ready. Now, they went down 1-0, but they did not give up.
1 to Dwayne Ambersley.
Right. And fought back to get the equalizer. Some sloppy defending from Montego Bay United, but they did not quit. And what I liked was also that the crowd got behind them. Now,
I just want to say that Humble Lion, to me, have the most passionate fans in the RSPL. When you go there, you can sense that something big is going to happen. And when the team is not performing as they want them to perform, they don't turn on them like you'd see sometimes at Tivoli, for instance. The team still gets behind the crowd gets behind the team. And when the result comes, you can see how the crowd has impacted that. So fair play to Humble Lion for that.
And I think they're going to fight, and if they stay in the top 4, they have a chance.
Indeed, and as you know, this season is top 6, so a lot of teams have a chance to make it into the playoffs.
So what do you say about the next game? UE losing 1-0 to Jamalco?
A shock result there because UE was on a roll. UE was steamrolling teams this season. UE last season was an unknown quotient, but this season everyone thought that, look, we know what they're about, so this season you should see them perhaps somewhere mid-table, somewhere possibly fighting relegation. Not the case this season. You still look like one of the favorites to go all the way to the final this year. But Jamalco, on the other hand, they started strong. They even had a lead for 1 week in the league, but then they fell off and they had a 6-game losing streak going until they ended that at Constance Spring when they played Marvelly. Now, coming off that, it seems that Rowan Johnson, that's Marvelly's coach, not Marvelly, Jamalco's coach, he was rotating the team a bit too much. It seems that he now knows which players he wants going into the team, going to each matches each week. So to see them beating you, it seems that he has settled starting lineup established now.
Not a good result for Coach Marcel Gale, but I think they'll bounce back. What as you know, it's UE team, it's a young team, and they're full of energy and skill. And we find that Coach Marcel Gale has a good tactic and background, and he finds those talented players. They
Yeah.
want to play for him.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that's going to be an advantage for you for a long time to come. People were wondering if they'd make it to the Premier League, and after they came, they thought they were going to fall. I think UE is here to stay for a very long time.
Indeed, definitely. Now the next game, the only game that didn't have a goal in it was Boys Town 0, Portsmouth United 0, played at the Barbican Sports Complex. Now, Boys Town have been struggling all season. They're still bottom of the table. I mentioned Omerland having a good pre-season and good start to the season. Boys Town, opposite end of the spectrum. They started very late with their pre-seasons, and they had a young team trying to integrate because a lot of their players left after winning the Under 20 championship.
Right.
And they had some players that were being pushed out, and a new set of players coming into Andrew Price's starting 11 in the first team. But 0-0. It tells you that they are a bit too reliant on Shamar Nicholson. He scored 7 goals so far this league, and most of their goals this season, they've scored 13 goals. 7 of them are from Nicholson. So you see how reliant they are on him, and if he does not show up, they don't get a result from them. That's what we had there.
Well, as you said, playing at the Barbican Sports Complex, not in Boys Town. And I feel like that is an element. That is a problem. And I feel like it's hard for a team to have a culture if they're not located in their home ground.
Especially somewhere like Trenchtown where the football heritage is rich.
And what I think needs to happen now is that Andrew Price now needs to find an on-the-field formula to make up for that off-the-field crunch. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to define them. I'm not saying that, they could win the RSPL otherwise, but it is a factor. And I feel like it is something that he needs to work on and build confidence back in them, because they don't have the crowd to push that confidence behind them as much as before. Yeah.
Now, everything you said about Boys Town applies to Portmore United as well. They're a team called Portmore United, yet they were playing for the last season and a half in Clarendon at Maypen.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But now they're at the Spanish Town Prison Oval because they just can't find a settled home. And everything you say applies to them. And we see Portmore being inconsistent yet again. So they need to turn their form around. And they need to stop playing so physical in midfield, concentrate on what they're doing, and stop picking up so many needless yellow cards.
Well, they call that wildman football. And I think right now a lot of teams are being plagued with not being able to settle and play the football. Inconsistent pitches, poor quality pitches, and that leads to poor football. If you're not playing on proper grass, the football can't race.
Exactly.
I remember one time speaking to high school footballers, and they would say, yeah man, when I play on that field, you have to know when the ball I go chip up in the stone them.
No, we shouldn't be talking about it like
We have
that.
to raise the quality.
If you want good technical players, they have to know how to pass the ball along the ground.
And it
Simple as
starts
that.
with where they play the football.
True.
All right,
Now, the next game comes from the biggest talking point of the week, because Marvally Huenden, they didn't only break their losing streak, because they had a 2-game losing streak going after having a 9-game drawing streak going, which is crazy. But
Chester draws.
yeah, they defeated Reno of all teams 3-0. Now, what was the difference here? Lijasu Sims is gone. They brought in Anthony Patrick as their new coach, and immediately we saw a difference, because one of the problems at Marvally was that Lijasu Sims was not getting respect of his players, and he was a manager that he's not a proactive manager. He changes his tactics when he sees something going wrong, rather than saying, look, this player is playing this position, we need something might happen here, let's just tighten up a bit.
So you're saying not only is it the off the field respect, but he's not doing things on the field that will earn that respect.
Right. Now, Coach Patrick was appointed on Tuesday morning, and on Wednesday morning, everyone was at training bright and early, and the difference when you saw the team, and the respect what that was there. When you see him giving instruction, everyone was following it. No one was slouching around to get up and actually go through the drills. So you see that it's a coach that commands respect and brought it immediately, and that actually affected the result. But Andrew Pedler, the captain, a second red card in about 4 games. As a captain, you can't keep doing those things. They need to start with discipline.
Funny thing that I'm very glad that he ended on that point, because that's actually, when he spoke about the coach respect, I wanted to talk about the discipline. Discipline is something that has plagued football in Jamaica for a long time. And I think there's something about the culture of discipline going back to even prep school football that needs to change. If you ever go to some of these prep school games, the parents on the sidelines cussing bad word after the ref,
undermining the coaches.
Undermining the coaches. Then sometimes in high school, and then they're praised so much, it's like they're gods. They're allowed to skip school, they're allowed to miss classes, and it funnels its way all the way up.
Until the senior level.
And it has to change. It has to be attacked. And we see it in the red cards and we see it in things like this. But shock defeat right there. Marvel Jimenez getting a big 3-0 win. But it kind of keeps them above the drop zone, so it's a very good result for them. Take the next game, Tivoli versus Waterhouse.
No, Waterhouse, as you know, coached by
Firehouse.
Bailey. Right. But they are sleeping giants. You have to admit it. For the last 2 seasons, they've been battling relegation, and they're in some serious problems because they have a generation gap with players. I mean, this at the start of the season, they said they were coming with a younger approach. Yet we saw.
Imagine an RSPL with no Boyson and
No Waterhouse. What the cornerstones of Jamaican football gone.
Crazy.
No, you can't say
You don't think it will finish like that?
I think it might.
I mean, it might, because you have Harborview, Waterhouse, and Boystown.
Yes, somebody
with
big
danger.
went drop out. That's for certain. Somebody big went
Big
drop
name
out.
went to drop out. Continue. Sorry.
But Waterhouse though, as I was saying, you have a player like you have the young players, but then they're saying that we're going with a young approach this season. Yet we saw Irving English there. Yet we had no Tuffy Anderson. That did not make sense. They brought back Tuffy and said maybe we can have him as a leader in the team. And
Maybe
even
they
though
may sign Dean Burton,
who knows,
Paul Hall, Robbie Earl.
Barry Hill.
Give Skill Cole a jersey.
Why not? But it's not working. They tried so many different things and it's just not working. But Admiral Bailey, I think he can still turn it around. It just needs a little time. On the other hand now, Tivoli Gardens, doing very well this season. They're on a 5-game winning streak at the moment, and coach Omar Edwards is doing a very good job there. He's a coach that everyone seems to respect. Even if you can get a player who's known for discipline like Jermaine Teddy Johnson.
And get him to calm down.
Exactly. He looks a good player this season.
What I think is happening with Tivoli as well is, again, I know I kind of playing this tune, but the atmosphere. You understand? Players who used to do well, fell off, come back. Even Mitchell Wall, Georgian, big up yourself, Mitchell Wall showing his colours, scoring goals. He's getting things working, and I think what is happening with Tivoli again is that they believe. Now, mind you, they're not where they would want to be in the table, which is at the top.
But they're very close.
They're very close.
They're just 2 points off.
Just
on 29 points.
1 or 2 results, and they can be back there. Can the title go back to Tivoli? I think that would be good for the RSPL, but they have to show it with consistency. And winning 1-0 was a very good look for them.
Now, I want to say as well that Coach Omar Edwards is doing very well in terms of integrating his team, because it's a young team, it's a new team, and he had a lot of players. I mentioned earlier Boystown winning the Under-20 championship last season. A lot of those players came over from Boystown into Tivoli, and he was that coach over there. So he's a new coach at Tivoli that came with those players, and he's integrated them well, and he has them playing how he wants them to play, and he has them looking very confident. So expect big things of Tivoli this season.
Cool. And the final match was for Harborview again.
Yeah, 1-0, going on 1-0 at the compound to Arnett Gardens. Newton Sterling, I think that's his 3rd goal in as many weeks now. Newton Sterling, I've always criticized him for being a big, physical, imposing player that does not impose himself enough on defenses. You see him coasting through games, but I don't know what has turned around and what Jerome Waite is saying to him at the Tony Spalding's complex. But it's a good win for Arnett Gardens that puts them into 6th. Well, they remain 6th place, but Harborview now, they're, as you mentioned before, flirting with danger. They're still in 10th place. They've fallen to 10th place, but they have a 5-point gap between them and Waterhouse, who are 11th.
Right. And so that means it's going to be harder for them to, well, not harder for them. It's going to be a lot more pressure on them. Because even though sometimes, those little gaps, it hurts, Because you see, if it's 1 point, then the players play with a little fire. Yeah. Because, it's about to end if they don't. Yeah. But when they have 5, they say, oh, it's not so bad. Oh, we lose it, but we can still. No. They need to play like their life is at stake. Yeah. And maybe that might be one of the things that, for a club that has such a good culture, they need to show that they care, because the fans care. Yeah. When you go to Harborview, they care a lot. And it's win or lose. One thing about Harborview fans, there are people who have been supporting the club for decades. So they have something invested in the club. Some of them even have money invested in the club. Right. So it's very critical to them how the dealings of the club. But I want to say though that Harborview, I'm not so I'm waiting to see what happens in January, because they have Georgina James coming back from America to play for them. And Luton Shelton, the returning Luton Shelton, what can he do? He has been played by injuries for nearly 2 years.
right, with a knee injury, but he's coming back. So I want to see how they'll manage to turn it around come January when they start playing.
Maybe not a starter,
Right.
but he's the type of person, you know, he can get goals.
Yeah, and he has loads of experience playing all across Europe. So
Maybe can make a difference.
indeed.
The final word that I would say, a lot of exciting games, a lot of things happening. The RSPL is moving, it's kicking off. Tune in on Sundays at 3 every week. Red Stripe Premier League is usually live. Jamaicans support the local football.
And before we go, just take a look at the scores again, and you can see your team and who scored for them, and as well we'll play the league table for you. So there you can see what's happening in the RSPL. It's still pretty close. Anything can happen in this league. That's what I like about this league. On any given day, anyone can beat anyone.
Another thing that's going to happen to that, you could also look out for. It's usually at this interval, December going into January, that a lot of the Money Cup players find a way to play for these clubs.
True.
Move their way into it. So if you're a fan of the Walker Cup, Money Cup, the Costa Cup, you might find one or two of your favorite players moving into the clubs. This type of recognition can help boost Jamaican football, so support local. Big up yourself. Today has been a new episode of Seeing Red Presents Yard Review. I'm Simon the Writer.
And I'm Rashid Aguna.
Tune in. And again, we got to reach for the bad boy.
Like and subscribe.
Big up Jamaica football.
This beat is so switch.
Such a wonder.